The Survivor Specialist, Phil and Blake, are back, and today we are starting our new series, Everything You Need to Know About. And we're going to be starting it off with Cirie Fields because that's what we should be doing. So, to get ready for Survivor 50, we're going to be going through all 22 players that we know something about because we don't know anything about Riz or about Savannah. So, because we don't know anything about
I don't even
them,
know their names. What the hell, Phil?
so now we're going to be doing
That's ruins.
22 episodes of this series. Blake is doing 7 with me. Will is doing 7 with me. Tegwith is doing 8 with me. That'll get us to all 22 of them. And we are starting off with Cirie Fields because who else would you start off with? So this will be her 6th Survivor season because of AU versus the world, which I think is just incredible. And it's going to be fun to talk about her because I know like other ones that Blake and I are doing are Joe and Jonathan. These people have played once. And, you know, what are you going to talk about maybe for 20 to 30 minutes about each of these people? When it comes to Cirie, hopefully we can fit it all in 20 to 30 minutes because of late, she's essentially just been on everything. Won the Traders, co-winner of Snake in the Grass, 5th place on Big Brother. We don't know her AU versus the world placement yet, and if you do know, don't spoil it.
Probably first. We'll just assume.
First, yeah. And I thought what I think is most amazing though about Cirie, 3 of her 4 US seasons so far, she's played at least 36 days in 3 of her 4 seasons. That's pretty insane when you think about what it takes to make it that far in a season over and over and over again. Obviously, her Heroes versus Villains run was cut short, but that's because Tom Westman idled her out of the game. She's been eliminated 4 times, never sat at a final tribal council, but never been voted out by the majority of her tribe. So, Blake, as we get in and we start this series, and this is all about just getting you familiarized with everybody in case you haven't watched these episodes in a long time or seen these people play. I mean, Cirie's got a laundry list to cover here. So where do you want to start?
It's interesting about that intro. You're doing here's some of the math, here's some of the statistics, here's some of that stuff. And I don't think that's ever been what you would want. Not you, the understood you. Like Cirie is all hearts. Cirie is all she is one of the best manipulators in the history of the show. She is somebody that if you have a plan, it better be with Cirie, because if it's against Cirie, it's going to get dismantled completely. I think there's the thought process of she's behind the most notorious elimination in the history of the game. She is part of some of the biggest alliances, or the Black Widow Brigade is also one of the best alliances in the game. It's the only time the women came together and let's do this and nailed it or whatever. One world, but I think there's a few other things you need to know about her. So let's just start at Exile Island. Exile Island, I think she went on that show and she said, I'm gonna do my best and hope for the best. And I think there's something about Cirie where it was, I'm really fun to be around and I'm really putting in a full effort. And I think the enthusiasm of Cirie and her heart really endears her to everybody on the beach. And she becomes a person where it's like, we're rooting for you, even though we're playing a game against you. And there was the whole thought process of get up off that couch. You could be like Cirie. That was a main joke, meme, inspirational thing if you're more earnest in your life. But that was what Jeff Probst was saying all over the place when Exile Island was coming out, or some like people like to say Survivor Panama. But she was put on a tribe. It's probably the most doom-fated tribe of all time. The older women, when that was not what people valued in Survivor, and they get absolutely blown up. 3 people. Ruth Marie has a little bit longer, but Timber Tina goes first, and somebody else goes second.
Melinda, come on,
Melinda,
Blake.
poor Melinda. Well, this is Cirie's episode. I didn't want to say everybody's name, and it's like, does Cirie makes it all the way to the final 4, and it's just through sheer like, I am keeping this together. I think there's the idea of like, I'm a mother, so this stuff doesn't bother me. I don't think that's ever said from Cirie's viewpoint, but she has to manage Courtney, she has to manage Shane, she has to manage Eris and Danielle, and they all hate each other. and Bruce is being weird over here too. And that doesn't matter for Cirie. I think whenever she came back for Micronesia, she's one of the most desired all-star people ever. I don't think we can quantify for our audience what the excitement was for, oh my God, Cirie is coming back. I hope they don't target her right away. And I think that's always the thing that's in the back of my mind that's really cool to see about Cirie is there's no way she's going to do well on this season. And the only time she's actually got was because one of the best players in Survivor history uses an idol to get rid of her. Of Tom Westman has one of the best winning seasons ever. Tom Westman blows up his game to blow up Cirie's game. And that is kind of like, that's not very heroic. But Cirie has time and time again found a group to lead to victory, and people that are her allies benefit from that. Aris was one of her strongest allies. Aris wins. Parvati and Cirie ran shit. Parvati wins. Can we say Sandra and nope?
No.
So not.
But you could
season.
also say that, you know, who Cirie aligns with in that season, Candace, early on, one of the more successful of the heroes. She aligns with Amanda. If JT doesn't give the idol to Russell, I mean, who knows what that hero's tribe could have looked like.
And then what are we going to say about her Game Changers time? I think Game Changers, that was Cirie's on this season too. Of that whole season, she's clearly one of like 3 to beat. Of like, she is the best player. She is the biggest one with a thread, or what is it called? Target on her back.
Yeah,
sorry,
threat level. Yeah.
I had a couple chips earlier. I shouldn't have eaten chips. Her threat level is insane. How does Cirie make it all this way?
And Cirie doesn't get a vote that whole season.
No. And it is kind of like, I'm ushering in a new era by Michaela. You were on last season. Didn't seem like you were too successful. Let me help you out here. And then she outlasts Michaela. And you're like, how? And I'm going to say, Sarah was on her, like, Sarah liked Cirie. Sarah wins the show. So if I'm on a reality show, I think I've been a little annoyed. Let's do a little bit of Big Brother. Big Brother, I was like, she is shown as a legend. They just did their first competition of Big Brother. They walk into the kitchen and Cirie's there. And they say, hey, Cirie's on your season 2. She has immunity for the first week. And in my mind, it's ringing our alarm bells of like, how are you not voting out Cirie as soon as possible? There's no way you're going to win unless you get rid of Cirie out. And she lasts for 2.5 months of the grumpiest time of her life. It's so funny to watch of like, clearly Survivor is like hard but it's over quick compared to Big Brother. Big Brother, I think she was in the house for 90 some days. And it was just watching Cirie be cranky was kind of funny. But once again, all the people that were aligned with her all make up the final 5. And then she just can't win a challenge to make it happen. And I think that's the overlying theme of her is, I'm one of the greatest strategists. I'm one of the greatest social. But boy, if there's a part called outplay, outwit, outlast, outplay.
That is in there. Well, here's
outplay is physical in my mind, I guess, but it could be.
Here's going to that point with Cirie, because a lot of people are like, well, if Cirie can just get to the end, she can win. Well, how does Cirie get to the end? She'd have to win an immunity somewhere later in the game, because in Game Changers, Cirie went, McKenna put together a good cheat sheet for us here, but Cirie went the longest without attending tribal council on Game Changers. She didn't actually go to a tribal council until the merge, which definitely helped her, right? But she is one of 6 returning players who's competed on at least 3 seasons without ever winning an individual immunity challenge. James Clement, Tina, Varner, who never even competed in one or competed in one, Sandra, no surprise. And then the one that does surprise me, Sarah Lucina. Sarah Lucina never won an immunity challenge in any of her seasons of Survivor, which does really surprise me because she made it very deep. She made it to at least the merge portion in all 3 of her seasons. So Cirie is one of 6. She's never a threat to win challenges. And so that's what it always comes down to. And I think that's why she always goes out in weird ways, right? She goes out in a fire-making challenge in Panama. She goes out with just getting Amanda's vote in Micronesia. She goes out with 3 of 8 votes in an idol play in Heroes versus Villains. And she gets 0 votes the entire season of Game Changers, but gets 6th place because we get the idol train at that point. Hashtag idol train, by the way. And so she always goes out in a weird way, but there's this weird thing about Cirie where you kind of know that you're always going to be able to get her. And that's going to be something she's going to have to overcome on this season. You always know, like if I'm playing Survivor, most people are like, Cirie's got to go out early, right? I'm probably trying to align with Cirie because I know the further I go with Cirie, the better my winning chances are. Because Cirie is always going to be a bigger shield for me. She's always going to be a bigger threat than me because of everybody knows she can win if she sits at the end, and people kind of want her to win at this point. And I know that she can't win an immunity challenge over me. She's proven it time and time again that even if there's a puzzle involved, she can't do the physical portion to then get to the puzzle. The first time she played Survivor, she was 36 years old. She is now 54 years old. I mean, that's a big, big, big difference. And
that
you're
is
talking
literally 36 is 18 times 2.
Yeah, she's aged
now it's 18 times 3.
Yeah, she's aged a third of her life. And if you think about it, the last time when she played on Game Changers, which was 2017, she's 46. 46 to 54 is a pretty big jump. So can Cirie somehow overcome this, right? She's loaded. I mean, just to throw some stats out here, because you were talking about Ruth Marie earlier, Cirie was the only remaining member of her original tribe for the longest time in Survivor history. There were 25 days between the last original person from her tribe being eliminated and when she got eliminated. That's how bad her starting tribe in Panama was. Ruth Marie goes on day 11. She then goes all the way to day 36. There was another one here that I really liked. She is the second castaway to be eliminated without ever getting a vote for the entire season. Pascal was first, and then Cara, Liz, and Camilla all followed that up. So we'll talk about Camilla in another podcast at some point. But I just think when it comes to Cirie, and when I look at her, we're doing this podcast to kind of be like, hey, did you forget what Colby used to do when he won 5 immunity challenges and then he sucked at challenges in Heroes Village? You forget what Jenna used to do? All of that. But when you talk about Cirie, nobody's forgetting Cirie. Here's the best stat, I think, for Cirie. She's played 121 days across 4 seasons, which is the most days of any returning player who has never made the final tribal council. And it's the most days of any returning player who has never been on Redemption Island or the Edge of Extinction at any point during their Survivor career. So the Edge of Extinction numbers really skew how far Parvati made it in her 4th season, right? Parvati had a great first 3.
Parvati.
Yeah, but it really skews it. Cirie's played 121 days without it. Like I said, 36 days in 3 of her 4 seasons, probably is going 36 days in Heroes Villains if Tom Westman doesn't play an idol to get her out of the game. And if JT's not like, yeah, she is more dangerous than Colby. So I think that's big. Like what we all know everything about Cirie. Everybody walking out there is going to look over and go, oh shit, it's Cirie. Now, how does Cirie overcome that? Can she overcome that? I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I would never bet against Cirie, and I think that's what's crazy. Like, we haven't mentioned Traders yet.
Mhm.
Traders is her winning game, where she dominated everybody. I think it is a encapsulation of everything we just said. Of the challenges don't really matter in that game, except to maybe get your immunity if you need it. But you don't need the challenge to win. And spoilers, but if you're watching a Cirie thing and you haven't seen Traders 1, I'd be like, kind of, what are you doing? But maybe you're trying to figure out some stuff. Cirie does extremely well on that season. And it's all because maybe people, it's not that they're underestimating her. They're going, I want to be on Cirie's team. But Cirie is on a team of 1 in that season. And it's the only time she can. And it's the only time where it all came together. I think that I originally thought that was going to be the end of Cirie's story. So I was watching that and so happy for Cirie. If she finally won, she gets to fade off into the whatever. And now she's played Big Brother. She's going to be World versus USA. and now she's doing this. It's like, it was funny. Like there's the thought process of booked and busy. Cirie is the most big booked and busy reality star right now,
Oh
and
yeah.
I don't know if it's, I don't really want to be doing my medical professional job for the rest of my 50s. Maybe if I
I'm pretty
can be
sure
on
Cirie's
TV,
not doing a real job anymore. There's no
yeah.
way.
And so I think there's, what am I expecting her to do on this season? Maybe that's a good avenue to talk about her for all these things. I'm expecting Cirie to, that her last time around, she did not go to tribal council before merge.
Mhm.
Of like, she was on a strong ass tribe. That, I think that's another layer that maybe we should say is like, she was a solid challenge competitor of like the like push another woman down and steal something from them, was a lot of challenges in Exile Island and Micronesia. And Cirie is holding her weight, no pun intended, like beating people up.
Yeah.
And that was so cool to see with Kasaya. Some of the, like, we need Cirie to like to nail it, and she did when she was 54 minus 18, 36.
36. Yeah.
So it is okay. She does that again in Micronesia, if she can go toe to toe with some of the fan women and beat them. And then Heroes versus Villains, we didn't. They had the exact same challenge, but um, Heroes lose. Heroes
No,
lose that
heroes
first.
win the first challenge. Yeah.
Who goes home first? Sugar was a. I thought Sugar went home first.
Yeah, but are you talking? What challenge are you talking about? Aren't you talking about the one where like Stephanie dislocates her shoulder and everything?
Yeah, yeah. Was that
That's
a
the reward.
reward?
Yeah, that's a
Gosh,
reward.
dang it.
Yeah.
So
They
yeah,
used to do
that
that.
I'm trying to say, like, that kind of stuff. I can Cirie do it when she's 54. I mean, she was on a tribe that was completely undefeated, or never went to whatever in Game Changers. So I'm trying to say right now, I think Cirie is a team player in tribal challenges. So much so where, yes, get me to the bench when it makes sense to me. She just had a really rough moment where it was I think the beginning of some people's like, come on, Jeff. Like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
used to make fun of people and say they should freaking die and move away where
Mhm.
nobody could see them. And the balance beam that Cirie tries to do, and it takes basically 20 minutes of actual screen time. It was a moment where, is Cirie not too old for this, but like, is Cirie out of her element too much here? And
Are we also treating her with kid gloves, which is not what you want to be doing
right.
with Survivor?
Not for Hall of Famers. Like, it is kind of like, who's my favorite? What's my favorite sports team that you
I mean,
guys
dude, if
know?
Tom
Like,
Brady came back and played in 10 years in like a, an old people's game, I mean, you better believe nobody's gonna be like, wow, Tom, like, why don't you try to take one more? Like, no, people are going to be like
no.
headhunting Tom
But
Brady.
honestly, it's like, she is the Tom Brady, but it's not a charity match for
Mhm.
50. It is the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So I'm expecting people to be like, I would love to beat Cirie and knock her out. That would be a very, like, even if I don't win, if I get 17th place, but I personally knocked out Cirie in 20th, at least I can hang my hat on that. I bet there's at least 5 people saying that in a confessional in
Mhm.
their pre stuff, pre-game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pregame. Other fun facts about her. She has only received 9 votes in her Survivor career. She's played 4 seasons of US Survivor and only received 9 votes. So literally an average of 2 per season. Again, this goes back to no votes in Game Changers, just 1 in Micronesia. Maybe she got votes earlier, but only 1 to eliminate her, 2 to eliminate her. Obviously in Panama.
Timbertina got her once.
Yeah, like, so when you think about that, 9 votes against in 4 seasons, clearly everybody likes Cirie.
Right.
But I do worry if Cirie ends up on a tribe that is going to lose early. Because remember, now we're doing 3 tribes, and in all likelihood, 2 tribes are going to tribal council every episode. I don't know if Cirie can survive that in the pre-merge. We know she's a great strategist, but are people going to let her strategize? Because the other thing that I want to talk about here is, who has she played with? Well, she played the Traders, she played Snake in the Grass, and she played Heroes versus Villains with Stephanie. She played Game Changers with Ozzy. She played Heroes versus Villains with Colby, right? So
Mhm.
she's well connected here for sure. Do those connections help her? I don't know. She played with Aubrey, right? In Game Changers. I always forget Aubrey was on Game Changers because I feel like she was like so minor to the story. But Cirie is really well connected coming into this season. But we also put together tribes earlier, Blake, where we said they can do this without anybody who's played together playing together. Like, she didn't actually play with Coach, so put her on a tribe with Coach. But her and Coach could bond over the fact that they were both on heroes versus villains. Maybe. I don't know. So do you think the connections will help her? Because out of everybody on the tribe or on the season, I do think she's the best connected. But there's also the rumor that Stephanie LaGrosse is going after her, which people have debunked. But she's beaten Stephanie every time. Is Stephanie going to say, well, great, Cirie, I'll work with you, but I need to get rid of you eventually? Like, how do you see this going for her?
Whew. I think this is where Blake puts his foot in his mouth.
Nice. This
He
is what we live
just
for.
he just said all this stuff for 20 minutes. Did he learn from what he said or not? I is Cirie past her prime? It, do enough people know the legend of Cirie yet? I think all of these people on 50 know that Cirie is a threat. So I am expecting Cirie to finish in the bottom third of this season because it is only a respect thing of Cirie, love ya. This has been great. Thank you for this. Let's go as far as we can. I have to vote you out right now. And tears, and it'll be I think this will be the final season of Cirie. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, we also have game changers
Maybe she
too.
comes back in 5 years when she's 59. But Cirie is an inspiration to I think everyone that maybe that's a layer of like people from the new era or like you are the person who got me to apply. I've been watching you since I'm 14. Let's do this. I think a lot of people would have that layer too. But I think if they don't change it to 39 days, I think the first 5 boots are going to be double boots. And that just does not seem
I think
like
even if
it's,
they change it, they will. It'll be that because just from a time perspective, in terms of you only have 13 or 14 weeks, right?
I just, that seems like challenges will be more important and more cutthroat than ever. Dumbass producing. That's not what the fans want and the hands and the fans. I think Cirie will need an advantage, a beware advantage, or an idol to get through maybe one of these double boots. And then the second or third double boot that her tribe goes to, it'll be like, Cirie, we did our best. We have to vote you out because we've been getting we are the disaster tribe and we're getting our ass kicked and we saved you as long as we could.
Here's what I'll say about Cirie to kind of wrap this up. 4th place Panama, 3rd place Micronesia, 17th place Heroes Villains, 6th place Game Changers. She's kind of played in all the eras of Survivor because Panama was still with the Super Idols, so it was kind of still the old school version. I'd say Cook Islands really changed that. Micronesia was a little bit more of like the cutthroat, backstabby, advantage type game. Heroes Villains, obviously a massive legendary season. And then Game Changers, it's not new era, but 34 is a lot different than what we were seeing in the 20s. And she succeeded in all of those with the exception of Heroes Villains. And again, it's because Tom played the idol. But for me, the way Cirie could go deep on this season, in my opinion, is if she's on a starting tribe with at least one of the winners, meaning either Kyle or D, or if one of the 49 people win, one of them as well. I think Mike White would be happy to have Cirie. I think that Christian would probably be happy to have Cirie. And I would honestly say Genevieve might be happy to have Cirie. I think she needs to get with people who view themselves as big threats, right? Christian would probably be like, I could play with Cirie. Because if she's with threats, then that becomes, hey, I want to work with Cirie. So people will always say, I'll get rid of Cirie before me. And maybe she could get into a 5-person alliance to start the game because, again, she is an easy person to get eventually, right? She's never going to win the last immunity challenge. She has one individual challenge win in her career, and it was a reward. And I don't know if she actually won that reward. I forget what it was. It was in It was in her first season.
It
And
was one of, wasn't it the one where it's like, who is the most annoying? It was that one, right?
Yes, it is that one. So she wins that, and that's a challenge that I honestly don't expect to show up here. So she did win one challenge, but she has also, if you're wondering, that means she's lost every other one as somebody who's made it to fourth place, third place, and sixth place. She's won one individual challenge. So yeah, maybe she could get into an alliance of 5 early on in the season. And that's what it would take for her. My prediction, though, Cirie, I mean, I give Cirie one of the lowest winning chances of anybody on the season. And I think Cirie's ceiling is probably about what she did in Game Changers, 6th, 7th place. That's the range I put her in. I don't see people letting her get near Fire because I don't think Cirie would win Fire, but why let her get near it, right?
Yeah, and they're hopefully getting rid of Fire because we voted against it. The other layer that I think is worth mentioning, whenever she got 5th place on Big Brother, her son was with her the whole time, and her son did not make jury. Her son got, I think, 11th place, maybe 12 or 11, maybe
You're the
10.
Big Brother guy, man.
And it was a Cirie Fields from is he going to be on Survivor with me on a Blood versus Water season? I know we wanted Huggy Bear, but maybe it makes more sense with Jared to do it. They basically had a Blood versus Water where they were the only Blood versus Water.
Yeah.
And despite her son lied to her, her son tried to blow up all her plans. They weren't fitting together. Cirie outlasted her son by like 6 weeks. It was a, if Cirie is in a group where people can vote out someone else to try and get closer to Cirie, that's maybe a different way of a shield like that Cirie can do that nobody else could even plan for or hope for.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering what her plan is coming into this. I really am. I'm very curious how she's going to be planning to
She has the
strategize.
knowledge of World versus USA. Of I think that's her dry run.
Mhm.
And what didn't work or what did work, she can either double down or erase. And she's got one more point of data than everyone else does, including us. So if she blows it in World versus USA, I would expect her to do better in this one, and vice versa.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's our first episode of Everything You Need to Know. And it was about Cirie Fields. We're going to be doing this for all of the players. I don't know exactly the order that they're going to be coming out in, so I'm not even going to pretend that I can tell you which one's going to be coming out next. But stay tuned. It'll have its own, what do you call it, playlist over on YouTube. So you'll be able to just go through there. I won't put it in with all the Survivor 50 stuff so that people don't get lost on it. But let us know what you think about Cirie. What are her winner chances? How do you think she could actually do on this season? You think she's got any shot in hell? And that's it. That's what we got. So stay tuned for the other 21. Hope you enjoyed this. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time.
Hasta luego.